Well, the Golden State is the gold standard in a lot of things. Rampant crime, homelessness, skyrocketing cost of living, and a governor determined to stick it to the president however he can. They're now also the gold standard in unemployment.
Year is 1958, and my grandmother had a tough decision to make. Should she stay in Robeline, Louisiana, or should she leave? She was recently divorced and had 5 kids, so she decided the best thing for her future was to move to Los Angeles. Now, in her case, it wasn't such a bad decision because one of her sisters had already made the move. She felt confident that her and her family could basically move in and resettle. And Los Angeles provided a lot of opportunities for the Negro at that time, or Black Americans as we call them today. Number one, Los Angeles had a growing industrial base, just like many cities across the nation, but particularly Los Angeles, as well as shipyards. Even in Oakland, many people got jobs during that time in Oakland as well. These jobs beat the agricultural or tenant farmer jobs that most of our ancestors had in that time. 2, no more Jim Crow or racial segregation, although they would also meet that. And 3, most people came to California because of the military base, right? If you know anything about Sacramento, there was Lockheed in LA, Douglas Aircraft, shipbuilding, obviously the weather. But then you had newspapers that talked about all of the opportunities that were in the Midwest or out West. Publications like the Chicago Defender. But then the California Eagle, which was founded in 1879, and it was very influential for African-American migrants considering California. And obviously, we know what happened with the redlining and many blacks coming to California and setting up shop. But we saw the building of black communities like East Oakland, West Oakland, Leimert Park, South Central, Compton. Then, of course, San Francisco with neighborhoods like Fillmore, Hunters Point, and, of course, Lakeview. But in the last 20 to 30 years, something is going on in California.
But the real problem is too much regulation, and taxes are just too darn high in California. That's what's driving companies out. And it's also the quality of life. My goodness. I mean, you have all of this homelessness in San Francisco and Los Angeles and crime to worry about, influx of illegal aliens. I've had enough of this. So people are leaving, businesses are leaving, primarily taxes being way too high, the cost of living's too high, real estate's too high, in part because of, in large part because of regulations. Good luck.
As you've heard, the gentleman is making some really good points. Taxes, homelessness, crime, migrant influx, a lot of the businesses, and cost of living are pushing people outside of California, not just black people. But wait, there's more.
This house, that'll cost you $9,000 a month.
California's population is going down. Last year, 275,000 people left. That's equivalent to half the population of Wyoming.
Now, those prices are ridiculous in Southern California. Now, at the time that I was growing up in Sacramento, we would have people selling their houses, let's say, for example, in Oakland or Los Angeles, and moving to Sacramento where it was much cheaper, or moving to Fresno. This was an awesome strategy because they could take the money and profit from their old house in Oakland, go to Sacramento and buy cheaper, and it would still make about 95% or even 100% of their salary they made in the Bay Area or in Los Angeles. But now those things are starting to get worse. Not only are you able to just like sell your house in Southern California and move up to Northern California as quickly as you used to be, because now the jobs are not paying what they used to pay. And again, the cost of goods and services are getting just extremely too high. And that is a problem. But as you heard, California right now has 5.5% unemployment in the state. And who would you believe that would affect the most? You guessed it, the black community. We've already heard that black women have lost over 300,000 jobs. So if you look at that unemployment gap, you must understand that black people are most likely affected the most, including black women. But there's something else also going on in the state.
Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles, once a place built for and by black folks, is now run by a Mexican woman who is also the COO. Most of the staff cooking the food aren't black. That's not just a staffing change, it's a symbol. Because when the ownership, the narrative, and the profit leaves the hands of the people who created it, that's not cultural growth. That's cultural displacement.
California has been home to a whole bunch of stuff that Black Americans have created. Look at your legendary places like Leimert Park or Inglewood, or establishments like Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles. What has happened in California in many places is that now the Hispanics own Roscoe's, right? And now who do you have making the food there? Well, you have Hispanics cooking the dishes. And this is just not what's going on in just LA. It was happening even in the 90s. There was a restaurant called Jimmy's, okay? And it's on Grand Avenue. If you guys know about Jimmy's, it was across from 3B's. It used to be Heights Hair Fashion. The York family used to own that. Mark York and his dad used to own it. It was right by Allen Chapel, AME. Jimmy used to cook, some really, really good soul food. Unfortunately, he passed. Once he passed, you had an Asian family that bought Jimmy's. But what they did was they didn't change the name. They just kept the menu. And so you had these Asians cooking black people soul food. And to be honest, it wasn't really that good. It wasn't as good as it was with Jimmy's. But people were just supporting and kept going. And that's a trend that we see in the black community. That the black community owned businesses and the original soul of the businesses is now gone away. Now, it's one thing to blame the Hispanics or the Chinese for that, or even in Harlem, I've heard about Dominican barbershops coming into the black community and taking over your historical black American barbershops. In the case of this is our fault, all right? If we're losing our businesses to outsiders, it's because we just didn't keep it up. It's something that we've always done. It's something that we can't blame anybody else but for ourselves, all right? We've done this a lot. It's happened in almost every black community, and other people are starting to realize it. And that's the case. And partly that is our fault, right? We got to do better. But this next thing is interesting because California, we are pretty good at electing black leadership to represent us, just like any other place. I'm a Californian myself. Look at Chicago. Chicago has who? Brandon Johnson as their mayor, all right? And so when you look at Brandon Johnson, he's black, he has a black wife. You elect Brandon Johnson as your mayor only because you believe that Brandon Johnson wants to behave in your best interest. Once he gets elected, however, something is different. This is the case with Karen Bass. Karen Bass definitely looks black American, all right, even though she was married to somebody that was a Latino. But when she wants to come out and vote, she appeals to the black American side of her identity, all right? But as it turns out, she has a Hispanic grandfather. But she will come out and she will basically show the world like, hey, I'm a black American. I'm the first black American female mayor of Los Angeles. But there's a problem.
Instead, she centers herself squarely in the black community, presenting as a foundational black leader from South LA. And that raises hard questions. If her Mexican heritage is real and personal, why isn't it more present when she campaigns? And if she owes her political rise to black communities, black churches, black voters, black movements, why do her policies so often prioritize other groups?
I want to give a shout out to Scope News. He has a video called "There Are Barely Any Black People Left in California." And he makes a strong point here that basically one of the reasons why blacks are declining is because the people that we select to represent us obviously don't have our backs. This is the case with a lot of black Democratic leadership all over the country. We see it in New York City. We see it in Boston. We see it also in California. The people that we are looking to support us, they don't. Their interests are to other groups. So what happens is if you're a person and you're for immigrants or for the migrants and you're giving tax dollars to migrants, but you're basically saying is F you, the black Americans who are already at the bottom of society. This is another actual point. There's a brother named Web Rats on TikTok. He's a brother that left Maryland, okay? And he now lives in Panama. But he makes a very interesting point about living overseas.
Some people place that estimate as high as 69%. If you're African American in America, that estimate goes as high as 76%. So Black Americans have less money than your average non-wealthy American. That means it costs more money for Black people to live abroad. The reason why is because people see Americans as an opportunity to raise the prices usually. When they see Americans coming, that price could go from $50 to $100. It doesn't matter if you came to that country with $50,000 or $10,000. The price just went from $50 to $100 and you're paying that.
I want to bring up the reason why this is important. Number one, although he's not from California, but he's talking about something that's interesting. If you live in America and you don't earn a lot of money, and Black Americans typically don't earn as much as other groups, once gentrification comes into your neighborhood, or once things start to rise, your spending power evaporates, okay? And California has a hell of a sales tax. So what costs you $50, it really hurts you if your income isn't going up, if taxes isn't going up, and all of the unaffordable things start happening around you. And that's exactly what happens in California, okay? And so what you found out is that it hurts them more than anybody else to stay afloat. And many people believe that the exodus of Black Americans is on purpose. And this is why you see so many Black Californians going to certain places. Like one of the biggest places that a lot of Black Californians move to is Nevada, right? Especially brothers and sisters from LA. Brothers and sisters from LA move to Nevada because there's like no state sales tax there. At a time, you know, Nevada is very close in proximity to LA. Okay. Some Blacks from Northern California may move there. You find a lot of Blacks now in Arizona. I think Arizona is also very similar with the sales tax, right? So it's close. The weather is comparable. It's close enough to Cali. All right. Then you see Blacks moving to Texas. Okay. Texas is another one of those states that is, is huge. A lot of economic opportunity. You see that. Florida, right? And then obviously the Georgia move with the Atlanta. Let's go back to California. A lot of the jobs are leaving the state, okay? And so these jobs are going to places like Texas where it's cheaper to live. And then also you're making comparable money. So then what do? You're going to go there. And that's another thing I want to talk about. A lot of Black Americans are moving to the South. Look at how some of the states in the South are wanting to compete. Look at Mississippi. Mississippi just came out with, I believe, not too long ago, 0% state tax. All right, so Mississippi, who's already like one of the poorest states in the union, is saying, look, we're going to reduce state tax to 0. All right, please come to Mississippi, develop Mississippi, create your opportunities in Mississippi. And so now the South is starting to compete for these Black Americans, if they're talented, to say, hey, come live your life down here where you can do so. And the reality is that because Blacks are just kind of being pushed out because of what's happening, and then with the immigration and the poor running of the state by Governor Newsom, it's sad, right? And the Black identity is pretty much left. Like when I was last back home, when I was growing up in the 90s in Del Paso Heights, it was a lot of Blacks in Del Paso Heights, right? And it still is, but it's not like that anymore. You see a lot of Hmongs, Asian people, a lot of Laos, a lot of Hispanics. When we sold our house, we sold it to not a Black person, a Hispanic person. You see Russians coming in. I mean, it's crazy. The exodus is sad. And the thing is, it's eliminating part of our history and part of our culture. But a part of that was us not being prepared for it. And so now, places like North Carolina, where it has a big banking industry, Blacks are going back down south. So guys, what do you think? It's your boy, Shitty Jackson, back at it again with another episode of The Celebrity Drunk. Appreciate you for all you do. Heard the bell. We're out.